Recession is the dirty little word we hear tossed around left and right in the finance space, and it can bring a lot of uncertainty along with it. But knowing what to expect and having a plan in place can make it a bit less terrifying of a concept. Today, let's talk about how to recession-proof your finances. Can we just really quickly talk about what a recession is and what it isn't? I think that will make it a bit easier to understand strategies for weathering one and avoid potential confusion. Recessions occur when the economy stops growing and economic activity shrinks. During a recession, businesses may struggle to make profits, which could lead to layoffs. Consumer spending may also fall if people feel they need to be more cautious with their money. A recession does not necessarily mean that the country is in an economic collapse or depression, which both tend to have larger and more long-term implications. It also doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a shortage of resources that we need to try and stockpile for self-preservation. Okay, now that you have the basic definition of a recession, are we in one right now? Admittedly, there have been some intense financial events recently, like bank failures and inflation soaring. And yes, the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates rather frequently. All of these factors combined could be considered signs of an impending recession. But as of now, and based on the definition we talked about earlier, no, we are not in a recession. Recessions can happen for unexpected reasons though. I'm looking at you, COVID, and we don't know when they'll happen, how long they'll last, or how severe they might be. The COVID recession felt like it lasted forever, but it officially only lasted 2 months, making it the shortest in history. I know all of that confusion and uncertainty makes the idea a bit scary, but it doesn't mean you can't prepare your finances in advance. For starters, have a solid emergency fund. This can help you through not only a recession, but any other unexpected financial setbacks as well. Emergency funds can give you a financial buffer during times of need without having to rely on credit cards or loans. If you don't have an emergency fund yet, start by trying to set aside an amount that would cover an important bill. $500 is a good starting point. Everyone's financial circumstances are different, but an ideal goal is to build this fund up to eventually cover 3 or more months worth of your essential expenses. Moving money to your savings account automatically each month can help make it a little bit easier. Also, be mindful of the type of bank account you're using to store your funds. If you're being charged monthly fees for the account, it might not be the best fit. It might also be a good idea to consider a high-yield savings account that will get you more in interest monthly than most average big bank savings accounts. Another thing I want to touch on really quickly while we're talking about savings is to have a monthly budget for yourself. I say this all the time, so I'm not going to dedicate too much time to it now. But it's going to be tough to know how much to save for several months of essential expenses if you don't know what you spend monthly. A budget will also help you if you do end up needing to tighten the purse strings later. Knowing your monthly budget will help you understand where you can afford to shave off some spending. Also, make sure you're handling existing debt well now. How you manage your debt when finances are doing okay can help set you up for success during tougher times. Paying down high interest debt can help you save on interest in the long run. If you can, try making higher payments than the minimum required now to lessen potential burden down the road. Remember that credit card minimum payments are set quite low, so they don't help you make progress on cutting down your balance. If you're like me and you love a good auto pay to make your daily life easier and have just one less thing to worry about, adjust these presets as well to the higher amounts you'd like to pay. You might also consider moving your high interest debt to a credit card that has an intro 0% offer for debt balance transfers. You typically need good to excellent credit and may need to pay a balance transfer fee of 3% to 5% of the amount transferred. But this option could save you a bundle in interest charges if you pay off the debt during the promotional period. This last point reminds me, make sure you're paying all your debts on time. That probably sounds irrelevant to this conversation, but if you do need to get a loan or card to help float you by later, a stronger credit score will help you land better terms. Any payment that's made 30 or more days past due, along with other factors like high credit utilization, can have big impacts on your credit score, making your credit profile seem riskier to lenders. Next, take a breath, try to keep calm, and continue investing. I know how terrifying that sounds when you see stock prices plummeting, and the natural inclination is probably to panic, withdraw, and run for the hills. But hear me out here. There's a silver lining to the prices being down, and that's the fact that your normal investment strategy will buy you more in stocks at the lower rates. If you sell stocks while prices are falling, you lock in the losses. But sticking it out for the market to turn back around can pay off in the long run. Remember, investing is a long-term game. A mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, or other appreciating assets is a good rule of thumb. While no investment is guaranteed to be recession-proof, some do tend to perform a bit better than others during downturns. A recession may mean consumers are spending less on luxury items like dining out and entertaining, but they will still need the staples. Things like food, household products, and utilities may be solid choices to consider investing in when building out your portfolio. As long as you have a diversified portfolio and just a little bit of patience, the market has historically always bounced back. You'll also want to have a housing strategy in mind. If you own your home and plan to sell, take a look at your local housing market to see what the housing inventory looks like in your area. A larger inventory means buyers will have more homes to choose from, which gives them more leverage when negotiating with sellers since they have more options. And if you plan to stay put and weather a recession storm, make sure you have that emergency fund we talked about earlier to help cover your mortgage should you lose your job or have a reduced income. And the solid credit score we discussed will help you if you need to apply for a home equity line of credit as a last resort later. If you're a renter, the same goes for you. Build up that emergency fund to cover rent if you need to. The more you can save while times are relatively good, the better position you'll be in your financial situation. This could also mean building up your savings to make a down payment on a house, avoiding rent increases altogether, if that's a goal you have for yourself. You might also consider taking in a roommate or moving in with family to save more as rents steadily continue to increase. Recessions are inevitable, but they can also be unpredictable. While you can't control what happens to the wider economy, taking these few steps can help you through it. Build up your savings, be patient with your investments, and have a housing plan. Like I said, start prep now while times are relatively good. Obviously, the hope is that your finances never encounter a downturn. But these sorts of moves with your money will help you through if they do. And keep in mind, if you are fortunate enough to never have a financial emergency, these steps will only help you reach your other financial goals sooner. Have more questions about recessions or how they differ from depressions? My team and I at NerdWallet.com have you covered. We break down all things recessions for you, from investment strategies to definitions to loans and credit cards to consider should the need arise. See you there. Bye.